In today's video, I'll show you how to sew this simple yet classic cow neck dress. Hello lovelies, welcome to my channel. This is Sew with Oma. Without wasting much time, let's dive into today's video. The first thing I did was take my vertical measurement and I started with my baseline, my bust line, my waistline, my hip line and my length. After marking all these points, I just ruled a line across all of these points and named them accordingly. The next thing I did was to start taking my circumference measurement and I started with my shoulder. For this cow neck dress, I'll be using the basic dress pattern, and so I'll just measure the usual way as though I want to make a basic dress. So the next thing I did was to take 1 inch from the baseline down to serve as my shoulder slope, and I also took 7.5 inch from the 1 inch that I took to serve as my chest line. After measuring my chest line, which is 7.5 inches from the 1 inch shoulder slope, I then ruled a line across and named it my chest line. The next thing I did was mark 3 inches at the width and 3 inches at the length to determine my neckline. This neckline is for the front. The back I marked 1 inch as the length and 3 inches also as the width. The next thing I did was to slant my shoulder from the 1 inch that I brought down from the baseline to the 3 inches point that I marked as my neck width. I already measured 7.5 inches from my chest line, and so I connected from the 1 inch down to the chest line. The next thing I did was to connect the point for my neckline, the 3 inches width and the 3 inches length for my front neckline, the 1 inch width to the 3 inches length as my back neckline. After that is done, I want to now get my armhole. So from the 1 inch slope to the chest line, I'm going to divide what I have there into 2, and whatever number I get after dividing by 2, I'm just going to mark it in the middle. From that middle point, I'm going to take half an inch in. On my chest line, I'm going to measure my bust measurement divided by 4 and just mark it like so. I'll be connecting the lines together to form our armhole. On my bust line, I'm going to take my bust measurement divided by 4 and mark it so. My waist, I'm going to take my waist measurement divided by 4. Also my hip measurement divided by 4. To get my length measurement, I'm going to take my bust measurement divided by 4 minus 1, and that will be 9. And so after taking all of that, I'm just going to connect it like so. I'll be using the 1 inch just after the length line as our seam allowance or our hemming allowance to fold the dress up. Remember, we're not making a basic dress, we are making a cow neck dress, and so from my chest line, I'm going to mark 4 inches up, rule a line, and that will serve as our new neckline. So I'll be marking out the yoke to cut out and also cut out our pattern. After that is done, this pattern is going to be used to trace out on our fabric, both for the front and our back. Starting with the back first, I folded the chest line in and placed it on our fabric that is already on fold. I then marked 1 inches for seam allowance on the side, and basically that is that. Because of how stretchy this fabric is, I will not be using a zipper. After I had connected my 1 inch seam allowance on the side, I just cut out the fabric. Still at the back, I wanted the neck depth to be deeper. You can decide to leave it like this, but for me, I just took in 3 inches in, connected to the armhole line and cut out like so. Also at the back, don't forget to slit it open because you'll be sewing it down by 1 inch or half an inch. To cut out the front, we are going to open back our pattern. From our chest line, we're going to cut a line across. Please ensure that you don't cut everything out so that you're able to open up and it doesn't separate from the main pattern. After that is done, you're going to place on your fabric on fold, ensuring that the chest line is open to your preference. I used 5 inches opening. You can use less. The more you increase it, the more the depth of the neck is going to be. If you don't want your chest or your breast to be exposed, then you might likely want to use 5 or less than 5 inches. For the front, I also added 1 inch seam allowance for joining, and then I cut out like so. You also need facing for both the front and the back, and so I just took out from the remaining fabric and cut out my facing for both the front and the back. At the back of the dress, we're going to close down the zipper opening. I'll also be closing down the zipper opening for the facing as well. Cut out 2 inches on the width and about 22 inches as the length for our strap. Normally, when using a strap for a dress instead of a sleeve, you're going to need about 8 inches to 10 inches. But I'm using about 22 to 23 inches because of the placement of the strap. It's going to be placed across the back, and also don't forget that I went in at the back neck to make it a bit lower. Right here, I'm just trying to close up my bag zipper opening, and then I sew down my straps and turn to the right side. Now it's time for my strap placement and also to turn the facing and the fabric together. After fixing my strap and turning my fabric with my facing, the next thing we're going to do is measure 4 inches from the zipper on both sides and then place our straps crossed, just as you see me doing here. The next thing I did was to flip my front dress to the back so that I can be able to place my facing and sew like this. After attaching my back strap and also turning the facing, the next thing to do is just to place the front and the back right side facing right side. Before we join, we're going to use the front facing to cover the back. Just watch the video, you're going to see what I'm talking about. After using the front facing to turn the back, the next thing we'll be doing is to sew down the 1 inch we added while we're cutting our fabric. After joining both sides of the front and back, the next and final thing to do is just to hem the length of the dress, and voila! You have your beautiful, classy, ready to wear cowl neck dress. If you follow this tutorial step by step, I'm sure you'll be dancing just like me by the time you're done making this dress. It is very simple, easy to make, and trust me, you don't even need lots of materials. Personally, I used about 45 inches, which is about one trouser length of this fabric, and basically that is what I use for this fabric. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, do not forget to subscribe. If this video actually is valuable and you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of my sewing tutorials and pattern drafting tutorials, please subscribe, like, share, and don't forget to leave a comment. This will encourage me to keep posting more beautiful and valuable videos like this. Till we see in our next video. Bye.